Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erin, and this is Simple Art for Adults. Today we're going to be looking at one of everybody's favorite things. Not really. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who aren't really sure about grayscale, which is what all of these coloring books have in common. They've seen it done and they know the books exist, but they aren't quite sure how to do it themselves. So I figured today we would take a look at grayscale, and I'll give you guys kind of a rundown on how I personally color it. I do want you guys to keep in mind that, like everything else, people do this in different ways. The way I do it and the way I'm going to show you isn't the only way. It's just the way that I do it. So there's different kinds of grayscale, and first we have Bennett Klein. This is Bloom, which is his latest coloring book. So with this kind of grayscale, you have just like, it's like sketched, like lines that go through the image to provide it with some additional color and texture. Every image in this book is drawn this way. So it just, basically what it's doing is it's gray, white, and black, and then when you color over it with your pencils, it's doing some of the shading for you. Grayscale is actually simpler to color than a lot of people think. Once they successfully color their first grayscale image, they're kind of hooked. Another type of grayscale is this book from Black River Art called Dream World. Now this one, the images are a bit different. They're more complicated, much darker. These are mostly printed on Create Space paper too, so they are a little bit difficult to contend with. Crayolas are going to be really nice on this, so if you have a cheap package of Crayola pencils laying around, this is definitely going to help. This is a work in progress that I was doing with Prismacolor here. And blending with Odorless mineral spirits, which is the way to go. And then I have another one that I started in here somewhere, this one. And this one I believe was also done with Prismacolor, and the only thing I didn't do was this background, and I don't know why. I think I just forgot to do it. Now if you look right here, you'll see that I tried to use a blending pencil to blend the sky, and it turned it a muddy gray color. And that's why you should go with your Odorless mineral spirits instead of a blending pencil, because that's what you're going to end up with. With Prismacolor anyway. I'm not going to say that about all pencils because it very well may not be the case. But I do know that with Prismacolor, this is kind of what you get. So we want to be really careful with our blending pencils. You can try it. I would suggest trying it on a picture you don't really care a whole lot about. But this is a more complicated grayscale. It's a beautiful book, but it's hard to color. Coloring is the New Meditation. This is a nice little coloring book. Now the images in this are very intricate, and they're very dark. So once again, a harder pencil would probably be better for this. So you don't want something as opaque as a Prismacolor because you're going to cover up your black lines. God, I can't talk today, guys. But these images I really like them. The only thing I've done so far in this book is the nameplate page, and it was a lot of fun. I had fun doing it. Another type of grayscale, which is a good one for beginners to grayscale who haven't colored it a lot, is going to be Surreal Fantasy by Ikuko. And this is just a variety of pictures. I did start one somewhere. Let me see. This one. I just started coloring this to see which pencils I liked on it. This is done with Prismacolor. Again, you can see it got a little muddy on me because I tried to go with the blender pencil. I need to stop doing that. The hair turned out nice. I did like the way the hair turned out. So I was happy with that. Some of the images in here, I'm sure you guys have seen this book a whole bunch of times, but the grayscale is like, now technically this would be considered advanced grayscale, but for me it's easier to color it when it's lighter. These images are really beautiful. I really want to get some work done in this book. I just have so many things going on. I don't have time to color in any of the books I own. The book we're going to be coloring in today is this one. And this book is really inexpensive on Amazon. I think it's like $4.99 or something. This is Marti Jo Coloring Flowers Grayscale Coloring Book, a stress management coloring book for adults. And this is not the best quality book, guys. I'm not going to lie to you, but you know, it's $4, so it's worth it. This is just a bunch of flowers, photographs of flowers taken close up. When I say it's not the best quality, it's got like lines that kind of go through it, like where the printer didn't print it off evenly, but and you can really see it on this one. But that's okay. Like I said, for $4 and the number of pictures you get, this is going to be a really good practice book for you guys who are interested in learning how to color grayscale, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. The image I chose is this one. And basically, I don't know what kind of flowers these are. I'm sure somebody out there knows and can tell us in the comments. But I chose this one because we have a nice bright subject with some shadowing, and we have some background back here that we can do too. So that's why I picked this particular image. What we're going to use with this, or what we're going to try to use, again guys, this is Create Space paper, and this is the one that came from Lexington, so it's probably not the best quality. It's going to be the really grainy and gritty kind. But we're going to give it a shot anyway and see what we can do. I will try the blender pencil on mine, just so you guys don't end up ruining your pictures. Something else, thank you Shalene and Ann both. You guys always talked about your little kitchen cutting mats. I did go to Dollar Tree and pick a couple up, so now I have a cutting mat that I've cut to size for my book. And basically, I'm just going to slide it back here behind the page, and I don't have to waste my sheets of cardstock anymore, because it's going to serve the same purpose. So that's a brilliant idea. I want to thank both of you for mentioning that, because I copied your idea and now there's a silicone mat behind my page. So thank you. It's Shalene Toland. If you want to check out her channel, she does a whole lot of color alongs. And Anne over at A Colorful Life, she does lots of color and chats. So both wonderful, wonderful ladies. I love both their channels. So if you'd like to check them out. We are going to start on this today. We're going to do it with the Black Widow pencils and the Black Widow Scorpion pencils. Now these are both made by the same company called MediHealth, or MediHealth One rather. They started out like as a medical supply company for the most part, and then once they realized the therapeutic value of adult coloring, they began producing colored pencils. So now we have the original colored pencils they made were the Black Widow ones, which are in this box. These pencils have the name of the company, or the name of the pencil, which is Black Widow, but there is no other information. There's no identifying marks or anything, so you just kind of have to remember which colors you were using with these. Now the Scorpion is also made by Black Widow, and these are a completely different edition. There's different colors in here, and they're designed to complement the ones that you'll find in your Black Widow set. These colors are absolutely 100% beautiful. I think this is one of my most favorite colors in, actually both of these are some of my most favorite colors in any color pencil set, the pastel purple and deep purple. I love them. So we are going to be using these when we color in our book. And what I would like to do first and foremost, and I know what you guys are really wanting to know, is how to color the object in the foreground. So we're going to start with the stem down here, and we're not going to color this whole page. We're just not going to have the time, but I will do enough with you guys so you kind of get the gist of it and how it works. The first thing I want to do is look in my box and find some green pencils. Let's see here. There's a green, and I'm going to look in the other box too. I kind of wanted you guys to see my process of picking these pencils out, because there is some method to my madness here, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Basically, the gist of this is that you want to have colors that you want a light, a medium, and a dark color when you're coloring grayscale, and that's at the very minimum. You can have more than 3. Is that the same one? Yeah, green grass, yeah. Grass. And then this one is the Black Widow. So that's just a little brighter. It's not necessarily lighter. There, that's the light green Black Widow. I'm just doing this so I remember which pencil is which. So we have a light. I don't know if that's going to be a medium yet. I haven't decided. That can go there. And then let's try maybe this one. Nope, that's too bright too. It's tough to find colors that really work together. Actually, I'm going to switch this out. We're going to do this one, the grass green. So Irish green, grass green. That's the one I just put away. And then we just need a dark. So let's try, is this one dark? No. You guys are like, come on, lady, just pick some pencils and do something already. what I'm trying to do is, see how these two colors are brighter and this one's kind of more earthy? I'm looking for the more earthy colors. So this one's an earthier light green, this one's an earthy green, and this one is too, so this will work. Alright, so let me put these up before I end up losing something. Ooh, klutzy today. I woke up this morning, I felt okay when I first woke up, to be honest, but then after a while I just started feeling kind of yucky. So I decided I'm not going to work today, and instead I'm going to, I'm just going to color. Alright, so what we're going to do is, and the way that I typically do grayscale is a little backwards from the way that I would do my other types of pictures. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my darkest color. And here's our stem. It starts up here and it comes down here, right? So as you can look at it and you can see that you have areas where it's very dark, you have areas where it's very, very light, one little area, and then you have areas of like medium. So basically that's what we want to do. And I usually start with my dark pencil and I kind of color lightly over the areas that are very dark. And that's just a start. And again, I'm using very light pressure in case if something doesn't look right and I need to go back over it, or I need to even erase a little bit because I've made a mistake and don't like the way something looks. Always light pressure for your first layer, guys. Again, colored pencil is a rather slow medium, so if you are not a very patient person, it may not be the best medium for you. And in that case, markers may be your friend, and Anne over at A Colorful Life is more than happy to show you some lovely work that you can do with markers. Alright, so we took that darkest green and I very lightly shaded over the darkest parts of that stem. Now I'm going to take my light green and I'm going to very lightly shade over the lightest parts of the stem. Just the lighter parts. Again, I'm using very light pressure. This is kind of light here too, so I'm going to go ahead and color over it. With grayscale, knowing how to layer colors by using light pressure is really going to help you a lot. The thing here, guys, is that it's basically, if you look at the picture and you really study it, it's telling you what to do. It's all right there for you. Here's your light area, put your light pencil here. Here's your medium area, put your medium pencil here. Here's your dark area, put your dark pencil here. So that is how I tend to approach it. I go dark first, and then I go light, and I am adding a little bit of the light up here and right here, because it's just going to give us a more seamless blend. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this down here just a little. Alright, and then I'm going to take the last one that I use is always the medium color. So our medium color for this one is going to be green grass. And again, with very light pressure, I'm just going to go over the medium areas. Now your areas that are very, very bright, you want to do your best to try to preserve those. Okay, so right now you're thinking, well, that doesn't look like much. No, not yet, but it will. Remember, this is just our first layer. This is just basically color placement. So all we're doing is putting our colors in here so we know where we want our different layers to be. This is a rather sharp shadow, so I'm just going to define it a little more. Alright, now I'm going to take my darkest pencil again, because I have all my colors in there. I know where I want them to be. I'm going to take my darkest pencil again, and I'm going to go back up here under the flower, and I'm just going to use a medium pressure now. It's like a light medium. I'm still not pressing very hard on the pencil at all. Just want to get a little bit more color down. And I'm going to go down along this side where it's a little darker. Think of grayscale when you're doing it. Try to think of it like a roadmap. That's what I do. I don't even think so much about the image. Like, I don't look at it and say, oh, I have to color a flower. I look at it and think, I have to color this dark spot. I have to color this light spot. I have to color this medium spot here. And it really helps that way. Okay, so now we have our darken. Now I'm going to go back with my light and with a little bit more pressure than before. We're going to go back over the light areas, and I am going to kind of feather that out into the medium area around it, just so it'll blend a little easier for me when I'm ready. Back over all the light spots. And you can see now we're getting a better deposit of color here on the paper. And you can also see that graininess, and that's the Create Space paper that's making it do that. Again, I haven't found a pencil yet that will do this particular paper justice. I like the Crayolas on it. I like to sharpen them really sharp and then get them down in there. I think it works best. All right, and then back with our medium color, and I'm going to go over everything except for the light. I'm not gonna go over the highlighted areas. I'm gonna go back over the dark though. We do want to do our best to try to preserve that shadow that's there. So very lightly here. I'm just going to use light pressure because there's like a dividing line between this segment and this segment. So just very light pressure. I want to kind of mix the light and the medium in that spot. Same thing here, because this just gradually gets darker as it goes down toward the bottom of the stem. And we have a little shadow here that we need to fill in. Alright. This is hard to do at first with Prismacolors, if you guys are using Prismacolor, because it's so opaque, it almost like hides the grayscale under it, so you can't really tell where your lights and darks are after your first layer or two. But you'll get used to it. You'll get to the point where you can do it with Prismacolor. You'll figure out how much pressure to add. So that is the stem, folks. That's really all there is to this. Now, because I'm going to be brave, I'm going to take my blender pencil, clean the tip of it off. And with, I'm not going to use hard pressure. I'm just going to try to go over it lightly. I'm going to try to get in there and blend these out. And see if it makes a difference. Try not to muddy it up. I'm afraid it's going to do that, but we'll hope not. When you're blending with your blender pencil, don't drag your dark into your light. Do your darks first, and then clean your pencil off, and then go back to where your lights are, because it will pull that color around quite a bit, and then you'll end up with stuff in your highlights, and you don't want that. I am going to do it right here though, because there's a little darker area there. Alright, so now I'm going to clean the tip of my pencil. Get all the green off. And now I'm going to go back and do the lighter areas. My window is open, guys. It's really nice outside, and my neighbors are out on their motorcycles, so I apologize for the noise. Unfortunately, I can't make the neighborhood be quiet because I want to do a video. I wish it worked that way. Somebody commented on one of my other videos from last week, why is there an air raid siren in the background? I live in a city, but it's a very tiny city in a very rural area, and so our civil defense whistles still go off at noon on Friday and Saturday. So that's what she was hearing. Alright guys, and that is our grayscale stem, and I'll zoom out so that you guys can see what it really looks like. And that's how you color grayscale. Really, it's that easy. It's not hard at all. I remember the first time I actually sat down and did a tutorial about Grayscale. I was so shocked at how simple it really, really was. Basic, like I said, just read it like a map. Everything is already there for you. All you have to do is pay attention to it and do what it, basically just do what it asks you to do. Okay, so now we can work on a petal, which are going to be a lot lighter. Let me find some colors. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's go with Pig's Ear, which is a light pink. That's a nice light pink. And then, what do we have here? What kind of pink is this? It's like a magenta, so that's nice. I don't know how well these colors are going to mix together, but we're going to try it. Just because they're the ones I grabbed. Alright, so once again, we're going to do this in much the same way. I'm going to take my magenta, which is my darker color. Let's see, which one do I want to color? Let's do this one. So first things first, you kind of need to look at it and figure out what is this flower and what is the other flower. And that can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially with Grayscale, especially when they've upped the contrast to the point that you're not sure where one thing starts and the other ends. So we're going to assume, let me take my light pencil. I think that it's something like this is going to be the edge. Okay, so we are going to focus on from this part of the flower to there. So we don't have any like incredibly dark areas here, but I am going to go ahead with my pink and the darkest pink and color very lightly the darkest parts of this particular flower. This is all in shadow as well. So basically you're just training your eye to look at the different values in the gray and decide which ones are the darkest ones, which ones are the lightest ones, and that sort of thing. That's really it. So then we have some dark up here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And this part here is a little dark. And then it gets a little darker here as well. Now at first it's going to look like a child's coloring it. And that's to be expected. It's kind of a hot mess at first. This down here is really dark, so we're really going to give that some color. Actually, I think that belongs to that flower back there, as does this. So, we don't even really have to worry about that yet. This is part of the stamen, so I'm leaving it alone. Rather stuffy today, guys. I'm just going to add a hint of this darkest color right here. Just a hint of it. And then right up here. Okay. So now our lightest color is going to encompass pretty much most of it. So we're going to avoid like the places where you see the shadow. So back in this area. And if you look at this really closely in your book, if you have this book, you're going to notice that some of these areas are like there's little tiny light stripes in there, which is kind of what we're after, trying to cover up. So the medium's going to be here and here, and then there's a streak here. So I'm just trying to leave my streaks where the medium is going to go clear for right now, just so I know where to put it. And this is all of this is fairly light, so I'm going over the whole thing. And then here we have like a place where it looks like there's going to be more of the medium color, but it's not really distinct, I guess you could say. All right, so we have more light down here. I'm not coloring the stamens. I'm ignoring those for right now. And more light here. And then the medium will go here to between these two. And then the medium will go down there. Actually, I think I want to take a little more of my dark and bring it down farther. Because the medium values are all still pretty light. So this will help me get more definition out of it, I think, to do it this way. I think that's going to work out better. And then this part here, oh, we're going to need, like I said, it's really hard for me to tell what exactly is what sometimes with these. And I think for me that's like the hardest part of coloring Grayscale. Because I forgot to do part of the flower because I didn't realize it was part of this flower. Okay. So we have medium areas left. So I'm going to take the medium color pink that we had. And we're just going to put it in there. Lightly. Again, I'm using very light pressure for all of this. This is just for color placement, just so I can make sure it looks right. You can put the medium over the dark in some places. I think this is all stamens. I think I even colored one of them pink, but that's okay. I can go back and erase it away. Okay, so this is going to be medium back here. And sometimes you're going to have like a whole lot of different values. You'll notice that you're going to need more than 3 shades of a color, especially in the more advanced Grayscale coloring books. And in that case, if you have a larger set of pencils, feel free to go ahead and use those. Or if you know how to blend with white to create different tones of your color, you can do that also. Most colored pencil sets of like 48 and above have at least like 4 or 5 different tones of the different colors, so you shouldn't have too much of an issue. I'm just adding in some of those little stripes that are in there now. This little area up here is definitely a medium pink. The part that's next to the stem up there. We have another stripe here. And this is medium. Actually, I think right here I just want a blend of the two because it's hard to tell where the light starts and the medium stops. So we're just going to put the medium in there and then go back over it with the light. Alright, so now with my darkest color, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to redefine the darkest areas. I'm going to use a medium light pressure this time. And we're just going to go back over the places where we have already put that color in. And yes, my phone is ringing, but I'm going to ignore it. If it was important, it would be on my cell phone. Okay. I switched car insurance providers a few days ago, and I did one of those, get a bunch of quotes deals, and they're relentless. They don't stop calling, ever. Okay, so there's that. Now with the light color, oh, that's not the light color, this is the light color. With the light color, we're going to go in with a little bit more pressure. I'm using a medium pressure again. I do have some darker places in there, and I don't want to cover them up completely. But in these areas here, I want them to kind of blend. Because it is where the medium pencil should have gone, but it's still very light gray. And if you're not someone who burnishes, you can just kind of lightly do this. And when I back out of it here in a minute, you'll be able to see how the different shades of gray, white, they show through the colored pencil when you're finished. The paper in this book is just so rough. This is definitely, and someone else said that they weren't aware that there were different grades of, or different types of Create Space paper. This paper is definitely nowhere near the same quality as the one that the Christmas coloring book I've been using, the Tir Na No Log, or Tir Na No Log, or however it's said, I'm not sure. The quality of this paper is nowhere near it. That paper is so much better. Alright. Now one more time with the medium, and I'm just going to try to get everything to work together and be cohesive. All the way down at the tip of the flower. And then back here. Oh, I forgot to get right there with the light, didn't I? I'll come back. We'll get it. We're just, like I said, we're just kind of mixing these colors together, which is why I'm doing only medium layers. Number one, the more layers you have down before you attempt the blender pencil, the less likely it is to pick up that ink, and the better it's going to blend. And second, the more pigment that you have to push with the blender, the more pigment is actually going to get down into the tooth of the paper and make fill it up. So if you try to blend before you have enough pigment on there, you're just going to end up tearing up your paper. And we don't want that. Alright, so let me go back with my light, and we'll get right down here. Alright, let me take my eraser. And I'm going to clean up this little stamen right here, because that is not supposed to be pink, and neither is this. And then we are going to clean the green off the tip of the blender pencil, or I am anyway. This is where I get concerned and wonder whether or not it's going to lift the ink of the paper. Yeah, see how it's turning it gray, guys? It just like instantly starts turning gray. So we're not going to use that. I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to come right back with a different blending method. Alright everybody, thank you so much for your patience, although that was only about 20 seconds for you. It took me a few minutes. What we're going to try to do this with is I actually have a bottle of Gamsol and a tortillon, which is pretty well a blending stump, except it's hollow on the inside. The blender pencil is turning it gray. You can see the little spots where I tried to put it. Basically what it's doing is it's pulling the ink out of the grayscale paper. So to get around that, you can use Gamsol. Or you can use like a generic of Gamsol, either way. And it's odorless mineral spirits. Basically, it's odorless paint thinner. Now, when I put this on here, what's going to happen is it's going to melt that color down and push it down into the tooth of the paper for me. So it's going to make my life a lot easier. And I don't have to do a whole lot, guys. All I have to do is rub this little tortillon on there. Just dip it in there and then rub it on. You can use a paintbrush. You can use a regular blending stump. This is just the first thing I had handy, so it's what I grabbed. It will turn it gray at first. Gamsol is wet, so it is going to turn it gray at first, but once it dries, it won't be gray anymore. You guys don't have to do this part. You can leave it alone just the way it was. And when it's finished, it'll still look lovely. It's just that if you're like me and leaving the white part of the paper showing through your finished image drives you crazy, then this is the logical next step on this paper, is to use the Gamsol. Now, while I'm doing this, I do want to remind you guys that just because it says odorless, it does not mean it is harmless. It is paint thinner. It is flammable. It is some nasty stuff. If you have like a respiratory condition, or if odors bother you, or if you have very sensitive skin, it may not be the best solution for you. You should never use it around small children or pets. Always put the lid back on between uses. You know, all the standard safety information that if you were going to play with paint thinner, just, you know, common sense information. Even though you can't smell it, or some people can smell it, let's rephrase, even though you can't smell it as strong, there are fumes, guys. There are absolutely fumes, and it can get to you. So make sure you're working in a really well ventilated space. Use it sparingly, and that's why you should put the lid back on when you're finished. Use it for a few minutes at a time. Let it dry, walk away from it, come back to it if you need to do more. Alright, so now we just have the bottom part to get done. And then I'll zoom out. Or I may actually, since I have the Gamsol out, I may go ahead and do the stem too. And then zoom out so you guys can see what it looks like. Now a Gamsol, the thing is that once you're finished with this, if you haven't burnished your page yet, if your tooth is still there, you can go back and put more layers on over this after it dries. So you can get a nice, nice smooth look, and then go back and add more details or add more color. So not only are we coloring Grayscale today, guys, but we're coloring Grayscale on CreateSpace paper, and we're making it work. Again, if you guys don't have the Black Widow pencils and you want to use something else, I mean, go right ahead. Like I said, Crayola is a great option. Marco Raffine, I think, works okay. Harder pencils are going to serve you better for this particular book. Trying to just make sure I have everything all even as I can get it anyway. That looks pretty good. So, between colors, what you want to do with your, as you can see, there's a lot of the pigments on the tip of this. So I'm just going to take it and rub it on a piece of sandpaper, kind of on the sides. And this will help me keep it at a point, and it'll also get rid of all that pink. There's still just a little bit there, so I do want to get rid of it. Alright, see now, all the pink's all gone, and I'm good to go with another color. So while we have this out, I'm going to go ahead and do my stem. I'm going to start with the light areas because that green is very dark. So I'm going to do the light areas first, just to make sure I keep them nice and preserved. I use Mona Lisa Odorless Mineral Spirits. Move that to where you guys can see it. It's less expensive than the Gamsol brand. And it works. It's like literally the same thing, I think. Some people say that they believe that the Mona Lisa smells a little stronger, but either that's not true, or I don't notice it, one or the other. I'm not saying. I can't say for sure. I know some people are a whole lot more sensitive to things like that than others. I never was one that was really sensitive to chemical smells, perfumes, things like that. So it's more likely that I just can't tell. I went outside the line, but that's okay. So now we're blending the dark and the medium together. Now I've heard that if you don't have this and you want to blend your pencils out, you can achieve the same thing almost with baby oil. I've never tried this. I'm not gonna, well, I have tried it one time. I didn't actually try it to blend anything. I put it in a book just to see what it would look like on the paper, and it ended up bleeding through 3 pages of my book and leaving a great big oil stain, so I swore it off. This won't do that. This will dry 100% completely. Alright, so there's our stem all blended. You guys can really tell the difference now, can't you? What the Odorless Mineral Spirits does. Alright, now let's zoom out so that you guys can get the full picture of what happened here. You see how realistic that looks now? And when I was coloring it, when I started coloring it, you guys were like, it looks like a 5-year-old's doing that. What is going on? What are you doing? Stop, don't do that. And now look how pretty it is. And it wasn't hard, guys. It wasn't hard at all. Like I said, just pick your light, your medium, and your dark, and then use what you already have as a roadmap. So color the darkest parts first, lightly, then color your lightest parts second, lightly, then go back and kind of mix it together just a little bit. Go between those spaces with your medium pencil. Then build up your layers, and at the end of it, if you're on a paper that doesn't allow for the blender pencil or for you to burnish to blend it all together, you can get some Gamsol, you can get Odorless Mineral Spirits, you can get all kinds of different things that'll help you get that blend that you are looking for. Guys, that is all I have for you today. I really hope that this helped you out. I hope that maybe for some of you it kind of clicked and you're like, oh, now I can do this. Now I know how to do this. That is my hope, is that it makes more sense for you guys now. If you have questions about anything, don't hesitate to leave them below. If you're in my Facebook group, feel free to ask them there. We are always there to help you guys. We want you to succeed in your grayscale endeavors, and definitely are always there to help answer any questions that you might have. If you enjoy this video and you want to see others like it, please subscribe to my channel. I do try to put content out at least 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes I don't get that lucky, but I do try. If you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up so that more people will get to see it, and maybe it will help them learn how to color grayscale better as well. And until then, I do want to thank every single one of you for tuning in today. And until I see you again, happy coloring.